Good evening. Welcome to ThaiPBS English News Service. Tonight you're with me, Rungtip Chonapalai. Kristi Kenny, the U.S. ambassador to Thailand, says that the U.S. respects Thailand's decision not to approve NASA's request to use U-Tapao Air Base after the Foreign Ministry explained that the cabinet needs to submit the NASA project for consideration by Parliament. She insisted that the U.S. is still keen to maintain academic cooperation with Thailand. Thani Thongpakdi, Director General of the General Information Department of the Foreign Ministry, revealed that after he explained the reasons why the cabinet had to pass the decision over NASA's use of U-Tapao Air Base to Parliament, Kristi Kenny, the U.S. ambassador to Thailand, said she respects Thailand's decision and understands the reason. The U.S. will inform the NASA about Thailand's situation and cooperation on science, public health, and environment between Thailand and the U.S. will continue as usual. Meanwhile, Vice Admiral Nirut Hongprasit, Director General of Nautical Chart and Publication Services at the Hydrographic Department, indicated that NASA's work not only benefits Thailand but the region as a whole. The NASA research includes data on the causes of global warming as well as weather forecasting. The Vice Admiral noted that recently the weather in Southeast Asia has been unstable and Thailand is not yet well enough equipped with weather instrumentation. NASA already conducts weather observation in Japan and Hong Kong, so the weather information from the observation of Thailand will help complete NASA's research. Prasop Surasawadi, Science and Technology Minister, says that his ministry will ask NASA to just postpone the study-based project at U-Tapao Airport rather than cancel it. He is hoping that the U.S. will consider his request. Meanwhile, an article in the Washington Post has suggested that the U.S. is trying to return former U.S. military bases in Southeast Asia vacated in the years following the Vietnam War, including Subic Bay in the Philippines, Cam Ranh Bay Airport in Vietnam, and U-Tapao Airport in Thailand. NASA's project raised concerns among the opposition, so the government decided to have the issue considered by Parliament in an effort to create clarity over this project. After the Constitution Court's decision to cancel consideration of the Charter Amendment in Parliament, today the Speaker of the House has been preparing testimony to submit to the Constitution Court, aiming to explain that the consideration of the Charter Amendment is in line with the law. Meanwhile, the 1997 Charter Drafting Assembly has submitted an open letter explaining that the government and Parliament do have the authority to push forward the Charter Amendment.
After the 1997 Charter Drafting Assembly held a discussion on the Charter Amendment, they submitted an open letter explaining that the Charter Amendment does not aim to overthrow the royal institution. Meanwhile, the Constitution Court has made an appointment on July 5th and 6th for all involved in the Charter Amendment process, including Pitun Phumhiran, the Secretary of the House of the Representatives, and Kampidit Thakorn, the Deputy Secretary of the House of the Representatives, to explain the process of amending the Charter. The MPs involved in the consideration on the Charter Amendment insist that the Charter Amendment does not aim to change the democratic system with the King as head of state.
Thank you, Kun Kankorn. In the light of worsening economic slowdown in the Eurozone, the government has called meetings to assess the situation and its potential ramifications for Thailand. However, following the second meeting of economy-related ministries today, no measures have yet been announced, while Thai exports to Europe is expected to fall below target. Here's more.
At the Department of International Trade Promotion meeting today, which included Thai commercial diplomats from 65 cities across 43 nations, officials conceded that the Eurozone debt crisis has indeed affected Thai exports. Even though the export growth to Europe in May was 7% in positive territory, the average figure of the first 5 months of this year was 11% in the red. Projections on export expansion to major trading partners, namely the United States and some countries in Europe, have now been revised from 10 to a mere 5%. Additionally, the Thai garment industry is also suffering from a negative 9% growth in the first 5 months of this year. Wanlop Witanakon, Secretary General of the Thai Garment Manufacturers Association, indicated that he will be proposing 3 state measures to help business operators cope with the uncertainties when he has a meeting with the Prime Minister this Saturday. The 3 measures include low interest rates on loans, suspension of corporate tax for Thai firms that invest and export abroad, and ensuring a competitive Thai baht. Meanwhile, at a meeting with the Prime Minister this morning, Akhom Term Pitaya Phaisit, Secretary General of the Office of the National Economic and Social Development Board, revealed that the Premier sought updated trade and investment figures between Thailand and Europe to keep up with the economic situation in the Eurozone. Even though Thai exports to Europe account for only 9% of total exports, the country remains vulnerable to indirect ramifications from the slowdown in exports of other key trading partners like China and the rest of ASEAN, who are also affected by the Euro debt crisis. Prasan Thairat Warakul, Governor of the Bank of Thailand, projected Thai exports will only expand by 8% this year, which is lower than the government's target of 15%.
In preparation for the possible effects of the Eurozone crisis, the government has called for a meeting with exporters and the private sector to discuss ways to handle the situation. Earlier, I spoke with Paibun Ponsuwanna, chairman of the Thai Nation Shippers Council, who pointed out that Thailand had better accelerate its logistic development as well as expand its export base.
What we want to see really is how they collaborate together and how they commanding and make a KPI to prove that the commanding or the target we want to see should be have a period of time or limited of time, not just let them go. Let it be like ex-Prime Minister said, let it be, not impossible to do that. Besides that, Thailand, we still have a good location. I mean that we have ASEAN plus 6, which means including Egypt, China and India.
Yes.
Even these 2 countries, the consumption is not really in the high-end production, but at least it's just
more than half of the world's consumers there.
I mean also suitable for our SME, especially for the O-Top business. That is a good chance to do that. We've been spending more than 30 years that try to be process or produce production high quality, and we depend on the developed country, but now when they are slowed down, it's a time for us to develop ourselves from the O-Top business, and that is the way to starting in future. Maybe 10 years later on, we can have our own production innovation. That's the way.
But you also say something about the logistics, and also because Thailand is a strategic location.
Yes.
What shall we do with that? I mean, we can take the most advantage on this.
We have to say that we've been misguided from the word of logistics for more than 8 years. People just understand logistics as transportation. In fact, transportation is a small part of logistics, and logistics just a very minor item for the supply chain. And the supply chain, if we all understand, it means that we can speeding up our efficiency to reduce the cost, and then also the environment concern that the world are looking for that. Especially with this kind of crisis, it means that people have to make use of the raw material, since we've been spending with a lot of waste and energy, power, everything will be concerned. So logistics really will be a great helpful if the government will be try to put this as a main policy to do that. Especially next 3 years when the AAC come. Logistics will be one more great advantage of Thailand to do that, not only transportation, but I mean, since we have more than 25 categories of the real sector of production base, we can be step forward for the advantage on the what we call this a reasonable cost with a good quality and standard of the ASEAN. That is the way that the Thai government should be put this as a main policy.
The National Broadcasting and Telecommunications Commission, or NBTC, has given the green light to the different parts of broadcast and telecom wireless operations being classified separately to support future digital broadcasting and telecommunications services. Meanwhile, a mediating panel has proposed a system to effectively and efficiently settle disputes between consumers and operators. A subcommittee of the National Broadcasting and Telecommunications Commission, or NBTC, has concurred on seeking public opinions on the establishment of a mediation panel as an approach to efficiently settle disputes between consumers and telecommunications companies. The subcommittee's decision came after an influx of over 1,000 complaints surrounding the issues of unfair service, with the highest complaint being made about unrealistically expensive mobile phone bills. In addition, the subcommittee of the NBTC has also agreed on classifying radio, television, and telecommunication operations into 4 service categories in preparation for future digital wireless service development. The subcommittee has also allocated spectrum for each type of service, while dividing radio stations into 3 service categories, namely public, community, and commercial. After allowing the public to debate the proposal for 30 days, the NBTC will forward the proposal to the Royal Thai Government Gazette, and the classification would then take effect in 2 months. Following just days after the fatal stabbing of an Australian tourist in Phuket, this morning a British tourist was stabbed by a bus conductor in Samut Sakhon province. Police took suspects back to the scene of the crime to reenact the situation. One of the defendants admitted that he had attempted to steal valuables from the tourist bag. Police in Samut Sakhon province arrested 16-year-old Wacharin Jinda and Wachara Charit Ngam after they were allegedly attacking British tourist Lee Banks at a Petronas gas station on Rama 2 Road, Nadi district of Samut Sakhon province. The incident happened early this morning when Mr. Banks and his friend took the bus from Surat Thani. However, the bus broke down near Phetchaburi province. The bus company sent a van to take passengers to Bangkok. But Mr. Banks and his friend had bicycles with them, so they had to wait until the bus was fixed. While they waited, Mr. Banks told police that he noticed that his bag had been searched and some of valuables were missing. He then went to ask bus staff and had argument before he was stabbed. Local police say that one of the suspects has already admitted that he attempted to steal valuables from the tourist. The tourist was seriously wounded in his left torso. A passerby helped send him to Mahachai 1 hospital, where he received emergency treatment. We currently have no further details on his condition. The continuous heavy rain over the country at the moment is prompting flood-related departments, especially in flood-prone provinces, to roll out their flood prevention measures. Meanwhile, the southern rainstorms have damaged about 100 houses in Narathiwat province. Local people in Sungai Kodok district of Narathiwat province are repairing their damaged houses after the last night's rainstorm blew down trees, destroying about 100 houses in the area. The authorities are now caring for the victims. No injuries were reported. Meanwhile, the continuous rain in the north has caused flooding in Mesot district of Tak province. Officials are now speeding up the drain dredging, aiming to ease the flood problem in the area. In Phitsanulok province in the north, the Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation has assigned officers to closely monitor the situation in risky areas, while Lieutenant General Chai Chanarong Thanarun, the chief of the Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation, is preparing soldiers and rescue equipment to provide 24-hour rescue services. Meanwhile, Nong Khai Province flood prevention plan is to construct a water drainage pipe and to install 2 water pump stations in Mueang district and near the local harbour, as well as to dredge the canals. Nong Khai Province economic zone was badly affected by flooding last year. The local people in Yasothon and Ubon Ratchathani provinces have been speeding up dike construction. A U.S. federal court has barred the sale of Samsung's new Galaxy Tab 10.1 tablet computer, siding with Apple in a bitter dispute between the 2 tech giants over alleged patent infringement. Here's more.
The U.S. District Court in Northern California has ruled that there was, quote, evidence that Samsung altered its design to make its product look more like Apple's, end quote, and that the plaintiff had, quote, presented a strong case, end quote, for the injunction. The maker of the new Galaxy Tab device said it was, quote, disappointed with the decision, but that the decision was, quote, based on a single design patent that addressed just one aspect of the product's overall design, end quote. However, as a condition of the preliminary injunction, Apple was ordered to post a $2.6 million bond to secure payment of any damages should it be found later that Samsung products did not infringe the patent. Hugh Adams, Thai PBS.
Thank you, Kun Hugh. And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Rung Thip Chonapalai. Sawadee ka.